This is Trust and Neil with the Call to Learn conference, and we have Nickoleen Peck here with us. So we're going to ask her a little questions about herself. So tell us, like, where you grew up. I want to know about your childhood too.
I grew up in Sandy, Utah,
Oh, okay.
so nothing super great, but I was kind of more out in the rural. I know that people from Utah who see Sandy now would not think it's rural at all, but we had a dairy up the road.
Oh, wow.
We would go and catch frogs and run through the cornfields and fly kites and
Awesome.
like in the cornfields. And it was like all these fields and then our little neighborhood, you know, tucked out there. So it was kind of fun. Anyway,
So
I grew
like
up
on the
there.
east or the west side?
It's on the east side.
On the east side, okay.
It's kind of in this area that's really built up now, but there was kind of like the Fort Union area. Anyway, I lived there. None of my family still lives there. Like everybody moved out. It got big and we left.
Okay.
Basically was what happened. But I went all the way through school and everything there until I was married. And then shortly after I got married, the family moved out. And they all moved out to Tooele County, which is where I live now.
And so your parents are out there too?
My parents moved out to Tooele County.
That's cool.
And got a big piece of property out there, and we kept going out to see them, and we said, we like this.
Yeah.
And so we moved out there, and then some other family members moved out there, and then they moved to other places. But anyway, some of us are still out there. Yeah.
Very nice. That's
So we
nice
like
to have
we're
family
kind of
close
more
by.
of an open spaces crowd, I think. Yeah.
Open space crowd.
I think like the open spaces.
That's great.
Anyway.
So tell us how you met your husband.
Oh, that's a fun one.
All right.
Okay. Hopefully the wrong people don't listen to this. Yeah.
Okay,
So,
let's hope.
Yeah. So there was a family that lived kind of kitty corner behind me in Sandy growing up, and they had a boy who was near my age. But he wasn't there all the time because the family was divorced, and so his mother lived in downtown Salt Lake.
Okay.
Anyway, and so I knew this boy, and we became friends, and for years, you know, friends. And then I started going to visit him downtown when I got older, right? So when I was in like high school, and I guess he was a year older than me. So and he had this neighbor named Spencer. And this neighbor was like home from his mission and never had a date.
Oh, wow.
And so he was always asking me to find someone to set him up with. So I'm going through like everyone I know that would be his age and trying to set him up. Anyway, but the funny thing that would happen is we would go on these dates. They were double dates. And Spencer and I would end up in the kitchen laughing, making cookies, and our dates would be like not having fun. You know, it was probably because we were having so much fun.
Yeah.
Anyway, and so, it soon was very clear to me that actually the person who was a really good match for me was the guy I was trying
Took
to
you
set
some
up
time.
with all my friends.
That's funny.
Anyway, and so that's how we met. I went off to school. He didn't let me stay there very long before we got engaged.
Awesome.
And yeah.
So where did you go to school at?
I actually went to Snow College.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, and he came down a few times, and after like a semester, that was it. You know,
It
it was all of a sudden
more
like,
traveling.
okay, I think we're getting married, and now we'll go back and do school in Salt Lake. So,
Awesome.
yeah.
That's great.
Anyway, so that's how it was.
Okay, that's great.
But he's definitely, anyone that knows him knows that he's just really a fun, easygoing guy. And I love that because I'm a fun, easygoing person. And so we do all of these things. He runs a business and I do all of these other things. And both of us together have this mission, helping families. It's a joint thing that we do. But whenever we're together, it's all just, everything's just so relaxed and everything's just so spontaneous. And I love that. I love having
That's
a guy
awesome.
who's spontaneous, who's
Yeah.
just all the time, you know, thinking of something fun that we go do. So we have a really fun marriage.
That sounds like it. It sounds like it
it
a lot.
is. It's awesome. It's like the break from everything. I love it.
That's cool.
It's my happy place.
Yeah. So he has his own business. What does he do?
He owns a plumbing company.
Okay. Great. And you go
And his
travel
plumbing
with-
company has financed our mission for years.
Wow.
So it's something, the teaching self-government stuff that we do and the work I do at legislatures and UN and trying to help protect family and all that kind of stuff has by and large come from my husband.
Yeah.
So he says, "Oh, being a plumber is not my mission in life." But
it's helped the mission.
He's like, but it's a means to the mission happening in life.
That makes sense.
So he's more of the silent partner, like he does so much of the back work and the support work. And I married a guy who loves to do laundry. And who will try his hand at cooking, who will play with the children, read to the children, does all kinds of work. Anytime I have to go out of town for, a little 24-hour jaunt or whatever, I'll come home and the house is like sparkling clean and my laundry's all done. And he just loves to just support in that way. Anyway, it's awesome. I'm not saying I don't do laundry. I do a ton, but he does his fair share. It's really nice.
That is beautiful.
Yeah. It is nice.
My husband does it too, so we feel spoiled.
Well, people will say, I don't know. I think some people take on the martyr. The husbands sometimes do, and the wives sometimes do. And but in our relationship, we've always just been so equally yoked, just pulling together, and
that's beautiful.
It makes you be able to do a whole lot more.
Oh yeah, far more. Yeah, that's great.
So I'm always grateful for him. Cool. He doesn't get enough credit, so I'm glad you brought him up.
Yeah, all right. I'm glad I did too. So tell us, how did you get into homeschooling?
Oh, that's a good question, too. So I was one of those children. I don't want to say this in a way that sounds egotistical at all, but I was one of those children I was always in, I kept getting put in these, little gifted and talented programs and things like that. And I guess I was a pretty smart kid because I was bored out of my mind. And they would give me things to do, and they'd say, "Here, do this paper," and I'd look at it and just go, then I'd sit there, and I'd just be so bored. And so my oldest son, Quinn, when he was 3, started just begging to read. And we had been doing this little, 20 minutes a day that I was scheduling into the day where I would deliberately do what I called mommy school. Now, I know there's a whole bunch of different things associated with that word, but that's what it was for me, okay? So I had 20 minutes a day of what I called mommy school, where we would play with letters, and we would do basic, numbers, concepts, and things and stuff. And I just started doing that when he was really little. We were always doing it, and he loved it. So by the time he was 3, he's begging to read, and he's grasping so much. And I'm looking at him going, uh-oh, I know what it's going to be like for him. This is going to be really bad. And right around that same time, I started doing foster care for troubled youth, which is a lot. People know me for that, actually. And I have to tell you, just because I can speak totally off the cuff here, which is really fun, that doing that foster care. So my husband at that point was going back to school to get his degree in plumbing because he had switched careers right around that time. And I did not want to leave my children. I had a 1-year-old and a 3-year-old, and I was praying about what to do because I knew I needed to stay home with my children. I had been a career woman. I had made more money than my husband, and I had been very successful. And it took me a couple of years to pull away from that after the birth of my child. They kept pulling me back, and I kept going, no, I'm done. And then they would pull me back. And so that's one reason we moved to Tooele, actually. We didn't get completely away. It's a little hard to commute. A little bit more So anyway, at that point, I made this decision. I'm gonna do the best at teaching my own children. Well, then all of a sudden, my husband switches careers, goes to school. We're gonna make no money, and I've made this decision I've been trying to make for years. So it was a test, wasn't it? It was a test. It was like, well, maybe you better just go back to work because you can make a lot of money really fast, and whatever. And I was like, no, I can't do that. And so I prayed and prayed about what to do, and the answer came that I was going to do treatment care for troubled youth. That would be my job, and that I could raise my children at the same time. Well, as part of this job, they go to school, right? So that gives me all day with my babies, and we're learning and stuff. But as soon as they come home from school at like 4 o'clock or 3, whatever it is, I can't remember, but then I would be required to help them because it's my job with all of their homework and certain things. So my time then had to really be attached to them because they were very high maintenance, level 3 foster children. And so I started looking at things and going, you know what? My children are almost going to be at school age. Number one, Quinn's way ahead. Number two, when he comes home, he's not going to have his mommy's full attention. She has to do this other stuff because Daddy's not done with school yet.
Yeah.
And we're in this like kind of funny situation here. And I couldn't do it. It broke my heart. I was like, no way. I have to raise my own children and I've got to teach them. And we'd had all these lovely years of teaching that were just so full of this bond, you know, and I did not want to stop that. And anyway, and he was super social. He didn't really need like extra social. It kind of got in the way of who he was anyway. I had to limit it because he would change. That and the foster children that I had a lot of issues, and there were a lot of foster children in the schools, and people don't even know the percentage. It's high, and their issues no one can ever talk about because of confidentiality. And it dawned on me that also you have no idea what situation, what to prep your child for based on who they're going to meet. And I did know the percentage where I lived, and it was high. Yeah. And so I was like, why send him there? So there were multiple reasons there. And then of course you pray about it and then it's right. And you feel right and you got to do it. So all the logic that backed up the spiritual feeling that I couldn't do it.
So did you have other people to support you there? Did you know other homeschoolers?
I did. Actually, it's super fun. So we had a homeschool community that was really growing and thriving. The lady who gave me the idea to homeschool, she said, I'm thinking of homeschooling. She lived across the circle from me. And she's like, here, read this book. And it was like Penny Gardner's book, you know, that she wrote. And I was like, oh, I really like this. This is really good, you know. So then I started studying Charlotte Mason and stuff. Anyway, that lady did not homeschool. Oh, interesting. She ended up choosing not to homeschool. Wow. And, but there was this other lady I knew of. Well, actually, there were two people. One lady was my visiting teacher, actually. Okay. When I moved into the area, I was assigned a visiting teacher, and her name was Angela Baker.
Oh, no way. Amazing.
That was my visiting teacher. Wow. And she had just decided to homeschool. Wow. So she was really new, trying to figure out what to do with it, but feeling like it was right. So she talked to me a little bit about that before I even talked to this other neighbor. In fact, I have to say, at first I was a little bit like, are you sure? I mean, I know he's having a hard time. Okay, for you, I guess it's okay, right? But then as time went on, because that idea was there, that it was a possibility, all of a sudden when my neighbor suggested it, I was open to it. There was also a person who moved across the street from my parents in Lake Point, and their name were Candace and Jerry Winters. I don't know if you know them, but I don't. Anyway, a lot of people do. And they are just a fabulous homeschool family, and I picked her brain about all kinds of things. So anyway, then when I decided to do it, those two ladies were really helping unify a whole group of people out there, and I just fell into it. And it was, it was great to have the support
right away. Yeah,
well, you can't usually maintain homeschooling for like over 4 years unless you know someone else who's doing it.
Yep, you're right.
Yeah, which is why this kind of stuff is so important.
Yeah, so that you can see and hear other people's stories.
Yeah, so at least you can relate to somebody if you're living in Botswana on an army base or whatever.
Exactly.
And I know there's a lot of people who are like that.
Yeah, oh yeah.
They've contacted me when I was recently in Kenya. There was I spoke at a university there called Strathmore University, which is like an Ivy League school in Kenya, and spoke to the faculty and some different people. And there were 6 members of the faculty who were pioneering homeschooling in the country of Kenya, and just wanting lots of support and things and ideas. And I was like, this is awesome. It's picking up everywhere.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. Worldwide.
It is.
Yeah, you're right.
Well, it's sort of the oldest way anyway, right?
That's right. We're just bringing it back. Right. You're right. That's right.
To subscribe to our YouTube channel, click here. To choose from our gifts and request updates on our most popular topics, visit calledtolearn.com. For more videos like this one, click this playlist. For Table Talk discussions, choose this playlist.